it's Kori Akemi, and today we're going to talk about how to get you out of a downward spiral. How do you get yourself out of that kind of feeling of that everything is just getting worse and worse and worse? We're going to talk about how to get you out of that so that way you can be productive, move forward, and create the life and transform your life in the way that you want, okay? So let's get started. So the first part to getting yourself out of a downward spiral is for you not to judge yourself when you are in one. I think that's what causes a lot of people's downward, just negative spiraling out of control, that they're getting worse and worse and worse, is the fact that when they know that they're in it and they start judging themselves and they start being really overly critical that they're in a downward spiral, it just goes way faster downhill from there. So if you do find yourself going in a downward spiral, being really negative on yourself and feeling like you can't be productive or you just can't get what you want to get done and it's just getting worse and worse and worse, don't judge yourself. It's okay that you're in it. Be at peace with that. Just acknowledge, be happy at the fact that you're even acknowledging the fact that you are in a downward spiral. That's a great and awesome thing, but don't judge yourself. That is what I would recommend, because I just, even for me, I know that when I'm in my downward spiral, I'm getting negative on myself. When I start feeling myself, pressuring myself and being really critical of the fact that I am in a downward spiral, it just gets worse. So do not do that, okay? And after you kind of acknowledge the fact that you are in a downward spiral, focus on the fact or find out what caused the downward spiral in the first place. It could be somebody really negative in your life called you on the phone and then that caused a downward spiral. It could be that you watched something on the television and that made you feel really bad. Or it could be a conversation you had with somebody, or it could be maybe your job really brought you down. Start to understand what are the reasons why your downward spirals start in the first place, so that way you can prevent it from happening again the next time. That is what I would recommend too. And know this, whenever you start to do this process of finding out what caused your downward spirals, you will get better and better at avoiding your downward spirals, because the next time that you start your day or you wake up the next day, you're going to avoid kind of the things that give you that anxious feeling of everything's just getting worse from here. So get clear about what causes your downward spirals, and remember, don't judge yourself when you are in one, because that just makes it way, way worse. Okay, so do those things and it's going to help you. So the next part to getting yourself out of a downward spiral is for you to stay positive and for you to make the downward spiral work for you instead of it being against you. Okay, so let me explain through my example. This is a personal technique that I use for myself and I'm sharing it with you. So what happens is when I go in a downward spiral, usually it has to do with my productivity. Let's just say I had a plan to get 5 things done today and I'm in a downward spiral and I barely can even get one thing done. What I do is I don't judge myself and I accept the fact that I can only get one thing done, and it is what it is, and I just kind of sit in that and be at peace and breathe it in and don't panic. And I acknowledge the fact that I can only get this one thing done. I figure out why I can only get the one thing done. Then what I do is I set a reasonable expectation for myself, either the following day or the following week, depending upon when I have to get all these 5 things done. Okay, so let's just say I can only get one thing done or barely get one thing done today. Then what I do is for tomorrow, I plan to get maybe 1.5 things done, or 1.5. I make that goal, I push it only just a little bit. I don't ever try to, when I find myself in a downward spiral, I never try to push myself. I never try to give myself these overly ambitious goals. I keep it very moderate and very reasonable, so that way I don't disappoint myself the following day when I try to accomplish something, because the reason why I'm in a downward spiral is because I set myself up for failure in a sense, because I gave myself 5 things to do when really I should have only gave myself 1 thing to do, because that's all I can do for whatever the reason. Maybe it could be because whatever I'm going through in life, that's all I can do is just get 1 thing done. So for tomorrow, I set myself up to succeed by having the expectation that I only get 1.5 things done, or I only get 1 thing done. I set the bar really low so that way I don't get myself in that downward spiral. Now, after the following day, after I can get 1 to 2 things done, I accomplish my goal, my realistic goal, my low expectation of myself. Once I can get through that, then I set the bar higher the following day because I know I can handle that. And then the following day I set the bar a little bit higher because I can handle that, and it gets higher and higher and higher. And that's how I kind of I make the spiral go up rather than down. So it's about managing your expectation for yourself so that way you don't fail. Okay, and that's what the whole key to kind of making the downward spiral become an upward spiral. It's a combination of managing your expectations for yourself, being realistic, and always looking at yourself from a place of non-judgment and just pushing yourself ever so gently a little bit farther ahead and ahead and ahead and ahead. And all I can say is this, is don't judge yourself. If all you can do is do a little bit more the next day, that is okay, because the following day you're going to be able to do a little bit more. I think what used to happen is I used to even get mad at the fact that all I could do the following day was just a little bit more, and for some reason that I felt like a failure because all I could accomplish was a little bit more. And it's like, that's what made me feel so gross inside, because that's all I could do. It's like that harsh criticism, and that because I could only do so little bit the following day, it's like that's how the downward spiral starts. And I think that's really what a lot of people do, is that they're so critical of themselves that it just starts the downward spiral. So don't do that. Create reasonable expectations for yourself. And this is the time when you set the bar low for yourself in the beginning, and then you set it just a little bit higher and you make it go like this, and then that's how you create the upward spiral. And of course, this is for things that you're really struggling with, or if you're having a really hard time in your life, or you're experiencing hardship. That's where usually this process is really, really, really going to help you. And it's what I recommend that you do, whether it be for a personal thing, or in my example is for my professional life, my career, but even for a personal thing too. Like, let's just say you're really, really sad right now and you're trying to figure out a way to get yourself to get outside of the house. Maybe it's you go outside for maybe 5 minutes, and then the next day you do 10, and the next day you do 20, and you just kind of keep it moving from there. So it can even be, this process can also be applied to an emotional goal, whether it be you're learning how to love yourself again, and that maybe might make you uncomfortable for whatever the reason, and you just do little steps and you have really low expectations and you just push it just ever so slightly, and then you're going to see that you're succeeding because you are meeting your low expectations, and then the spiral will start to go up. I hope this makes sense to you. I want this to make sense for you because I want you to get yourself out of the downward spiral. So manage your expectations and stay positive and don't judge yourself, okay? So the last part to getting yourself out of a downward spiral is for you to manage your expectations. This is so important. I think if you are somebody who always finds yourself getting in a downward spiral, it's because your expectations of who you are, who you should be, is not really who you are right now. And who you are right now is enough, and it's okay, and it's fine. You are enough right now. And if you're not where you want to be, that's okay, because you can always build to that, whether it be your relationships with the people around you, or it's a personal goal, or it's a finance goal, or it's a professional goal, or an inward goal, whatever it is. Who you are right now, accept who you are right now in this moment, and you will get to who you want to be and where you want to be eventually. No one can run a marathon without putting some time and effort and training into that, and that is okay. And that's what I was talking about before in managing this downward spiral. Is it's usually caused because you feel like you're a failure, or it's not instant. And I think that's a big problem today, because social media, technology, everything comes so fast right now, right? You click of a button, you can get that box of cereal from Amazon. It's just so quick now. And I think that's also what is contributing to people getting into downward spirals, because everybody's so used to everything coming fast to them. And I think we all have to manage our expectations for ourselves, so that way we can prevent going into a downward spiral, and just learning that, everything that you gain, or whatever goal that you have, is by having small expectations for yourself and slowly building up to that. A lot of the times people I know in my life who struggle with this, it's because they're right here, this is what they can handle, but they expect themselves to be up here. And that's where the downward spiral is because they think that they are capable and they're just, they can run right now, run the mile right now, but they really can't. And because they can't, the downward spiral starts and they just think that they're a complete failure, and that's not true. It's just they haven't trained to be able to run the mile, if you know what I'm saying. And that can be in any aspect of your life, okay? So manage your expectations, always be compassionate about yourself, accept where you are today and build your goal, your next goals from who you are right now in this moment, and that is fine. Okay, so to get yourself out of a downward spiral, manage your expectations, and who you are right now is enough. So in summary, my recommendations for you to manage your downward spiral is for you to allow yourself to fall, in a sense. Don't judge the fact that you are in a downward spiral. When you start judging yourself, your downward spiral will just go down way, way, way faster. So if you are in a downward spiral, accept where you are, be at peace with it, just pause, take a breath, and just relax, okay? Don't judge yourself, don't criticize yourself, just acknowledge the fact that you are in one and you're gonna be okay. The next thing that I would recommend that you do is to make your downward spiral work for you. Turn it around and turn it into an upward spiral, and you can do that step by step by step. Okay? The final thing is for you to manage your expectations and what you're capable of. You will be able to get to where you want to go. Just have reasonable expectations and just slowly get your way to your goal or whatever you want to achieve. Okay? That is my recommendations for you to manage your downward spiral. Thanks for watching. For more Transform Your Life videos, please like and subscribe. Check me out on Instagram and Facebook at Kori Akemi. Until next time, bye.